Let's talk about the King James Bible. King James Version was translated in 1611, or at least published in 1611, under a team of over 50 scholars in England under the authority of King James. That's why it's now called the King James Bible. Originally, it was called the Authorized Translation, the Authorized Version. And it has stood the test of time. I want to share with you some reasons why I believe you should own a King James Bible. You should do some reading in the King James Bible, if not read a lot in the King James Bible. Why you should use the King James Bible as part of your study. And I also want to share, maybe, I hate to say a weakness of any type of Bible, but we're talking translations here. One of the weaknesses of using the King James today. And so, let's start with the strengths and the positives. The King James Bible is tried and true and tested. It has lasted for hundreds of years. It is the King's English, of course, and it is a beautiful translation. I think I would rather listen to certain portions of Scripture in the King James than any other translation, easily. It's lyrical, it's beautiful, it's poetic, it has a cadence to it that is wonderful. One of the great things about this unusual cadence and wording, and even the these and thous being so different, is it makes it easier to remember. Strange things stick in your mind. And the way the King James sounds strange to our modern ears helps you to remember it. I have so many Bible verses memorized in King James English, whether it's the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much from the book of James, or whether it's Psalm 23. It's hard for me to read Psalm 23 in anything but the King James, although I will at times do that. Some of the classic passages that just feels good in the King James, sounds good in the King James. It's just got a beauty to it. It's tried and true. It's tested. It's reliable. There's so many reasons why to love the King James, and so much of our English language today has been impacted by King James language. It's worth looking into and getting the history of the King James Bible, and it's worth owning a King James Bible. It's worth reading a King James Bible. I think you'll profit from it. Another great thing about not just you're able to memorize Scripture better out of the King James because of the strangeness to our ears. It sticks a lot quicker and a lot better. But there's also another positive to the strangeness to us, and the words being maybe a little bit outdated and antiquated at times, and that is it slows us down in our reading. Sometimes when you read the Bible a lot, you'll get to where you just you're going to the next thing because you've read this before. But when you grab the King James and start reading it slows you down because of the old style. Another positive of the King James is there's so many resources available, Christian resources, concordances, things like that, that use the King James. And so there's a lot of references to it. Another wonderful thing about the King James Version is it's not copyrighted in the United States. It is in the UK, but in the United States. So there's many different publishers. So there's so many different options for being able to purchase a copy of the King James Bible. Great translation. Love it. If you want to say there's a weakness to the King James, it is the antiquated words. Mark Ward, if you're not familiar with him, I encourage you to look him up. M-A-R-K, Mark Ward, W-A-R-D. Look up his YouTube videos. He talks about false friends in the King James Version. That means there's words that are used in the King James that mean something different to us today than they did when they were written. For example, the word conversation. We think of that only as verbal. The word conversation in the 1600s meant your lifestyle, more than just the verbal, your whole lifestyle. So when you see conversation in the New Testament, it's referring to your whole Christian lifestyle, not just your words. So that's kind of a false friend. You think it means this, but it really means this. And so it's important you do have an additional modern English translation to compare so you can help identify those false friends and deal with them, or watch Mark's videos. So that would be my one main concern with the King James is sometimes the language. Now, one of the benefits of the weird language, like, for example, the these and the thous, the ye's, is you do get, when it's thee, thou, and ye, it helps you know in the Greek if it was singular or plural. Thou means it's singular. Ye means it's plural. In English today, in most of our English Bibles, it just says you or your, and it could be either singular or plural. But the King James helps you identify in the original language if he's talking to one person or if he's talking to a whole group. And that's another little benefit of the King James.